Aber können wir mal spielen ein Lied und dann im Background was tun? Sind wir schon online oder nicht? Das heißt, man hört uns. Alright. Also dann kann ich schon begrüßen eigentlich, oder? Oh. Bild kommt später, man hört mich nicht. Okay, wie schaut das aus? Aber man hört uns vielleicht. Kann das sein? Also ist noch ein bisschen eine Challenge. Aber es ist auch viel da. Man hört uns wirklich. Alright.
Hallo.
Okay, wir fangen einfach an, oder? Wir fangen an mit einem Song, der sozusagen über alles hinweg sieht. We start with a song tonight that gives a frame, and it's coming right off the heart from Jana, basically, and it's called Schnucki. So we're gonna play it, and then we're gonna start into the night and present all our great guests that we have tonight, and so many continents and places. So. Minnesota, hier wo der Manitou der Himmel fort, schlug die Liebe und den Suff, Here it comes. I see aufs Indianer, a ganz dicker Kleiner, sehr liebte der als deines Bauchs, sie vor zu Pescher, war ganz baff. Er folgte ihrer Fährte, weil er sie so begehrte, bis in das nächste Jagdrevier, dort sprach er dann zu ihr. Schnucki, ja Schnucki, vor mir nach Kentucky, in der Baulstädter hin, dort spült der Indianerbett, dann in den Pampas, auf der Flaschen Champers, Heuber die geht der Zug, ich hab gesprochen, Das ist ob sie drauf schnippisch, ja so ein Güten dippisch, ich geh du nicht mit so ein Gauch mit einer Glotz und am Bauch anstatt mir nachzuschleichen, kauf lieber mir an Neichen, an schicken Indianerschall und dann sag noch einmal, wenn's nicht traust. Schnucki, ja Schnucki, vor mir nach Kentucky, in der Baulstädter hin, dort spült der Indianerbett, dann in die Pampas, auf der Flaschen Champers, Heuber geht der Zug, ich hab gesprochen. Lässt du dich nicht verführen, dann werd ich dich skalpieren, sprach dann zu ihr der rote Mann, weil ich das ausgezeichnet kann. Sag ja zum letzten Male, sonst wirst du Matterpfahle, gemartert du an einem Baum, daheim in mein Wigwam. Schnucki, ja Schnucki, vor mir noch Kentucky, in der Baulstädter hin, dort spült der Indianerbett, dann in die Pampas, auf der Flaschen Champers, Heuber geht der Zug, ich hab gesprochen, Du willst mich also martern, das sag ich meinem Vater, und rief ihm schreib nach einer oder ließ er morgen wieder do, als Häuptling der Comanchen, wird er mir eine Manchen, das kann ich lieber nicht riskieren, drum lass ich mich verführen. Schnucki, ja Schnucki, vor mir nach Kentucky, in die Baulstädter hin, dort spült der Indianerbett, dann in die Pampas, auf der Flaschen Champers, Heuber geht der Zug, ich hab gesprochen, Minnesota, hier wo der Manitou der Himmel fort, schlug die Liebe und den Suff, bis der Puff, puff, puff. Good night, everybody. Good night. It's a Thursday night, and it's the last night in June 2020. And 2020 definitely has been a quite exciting year. So it's always good to spend any kind of Thursday with good people. And so this is tonight, and it's a special round, and we're reaching out right to my great neighbor Andy Gabauer.
Hello, everybody.
A great, fantastic singer in Austria. I mean, like, he's the frontman of the hottest funk band. He's a soul voice. He has performances.
It was not that funky by now.
Well, it is.
Yeah, it's a very old song, an Austrian old song.
This song wasn't that funky, no, but that's exactly. But this is all. It shows also the framework of what you're performing and what your music is all also about. So it goes. We played a song that was written in the between the 30s and the 50s. Hermann Leopardi is a great catalog of song and historical in the Viennese kind of history of song, basically. Yeah, and then I just look always, I don't know whether, and in the way we see all the faces, the way I see them, I see left on the top, I see Ihu. It's great to be connected right here to Abuja, Nigeria, if I presume. Is that right, Ihu? All right, there's a...
Normally.
Sorry?
I said yes, normally.
Great, that's a good normally. Where are you tonight, and what is your time tonight?
Well, it's actually afternoon, and even though I'm normally via Abuja, Nigeria, I actually am locked down in Maryland, USA. So it's 2:30 in the afternoon.
2:30 in Maryland, also not too bad, because you've always been a world traveler between Abuja, New York, Vienna. You've mixed up the music scene in Vienna.
Yeah, I'm missing my summer in Vienna this year. That's too bad.
2021 is also, it's going to be a very good summer, I heard.
It'll be amazing.
No, this is great. Then we're taking the next one I see is Olivier. Olivier, bonsoir. We are connected to Paris here.
Yes.
Before half an hour ago, when we were in the middle of our sound checks, I heard, I think, an ambulance, or was it the police crossing your street?
Yes, exactly. There is a balcony just here. The balcony on the 11th stair of the building, and so you can see all Paris right now.
Right, so this is, because I think there are very typical sirens in New York, you have very typical sirens in Paris. It could be a funky game to explore. I don't know how is it in Abuja, Maryland, or in London, or also in Vienna. There's a different sound system, and some people hear it. Andy just told me that the clock of the church that you hear every now, once a while, is tuned in D. So we tuned our guitar to the sound of the clock, basically.
The church clock.
And I think it's
church bell,
the church bell, exactly. and so I think it's also interesting to hear the sound systems of all the ambulances and police cars, wherever in cities they are. So bonjour, bonsoir, Olivier.
Bonsoir.
We go on, and we next one is Sophie. Good evening, Sophie. Welcome.
Hi.
How you doing?
Good, nice to be back.
And the cool thing is we have 2 guests tonight, 3 guests, maybe even 4 guests, who in the last 3 months, for the time that we're running this stream, already have been here. And this is Sophie. We had a great evening in March, I think. And in the same city is Andrew. You hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Good evening.
Yeah, how's the audio level? Is it good?
I hear you really good. Exactly. I mean, it's in the mix. It's always, where the world of streaming in a group through connected into so many different places in the world is not like the same sound quality that you might have if you zoom out of one station or one city. But I think the beauty is to be connected in the same time. For some people, it's 2:30. For others, it's 7:15 or something. For us, it's 8:15. I don't know.
Yeah, it's good to be back, very much, and definitely it feels like we came in originally at the beginning of all this crazy lockdown, and Sophie and I were both reporting from London at that time, and we had also Vicky from Spain, and and you were there in Vienna, and all three of us were sharing different stories about our shock about the whole thing. And I love what Sophie said about it, which I quoted in an article. I can't remember what, but it was such a lovely thing. She said something about like you have to get really damaged by this to kind of get with it, you know, to kind of deal with it. So I think somehow now 3 months later, I think, you know, we've all had a bit of damage from it. And I think we're all sort of thinking, okay, you know, what happened and what's going on next? So that's happening a lot in my work and the things that I'm doing right now. So
that's that's good. So I think let's go into a round of exchanging and saying the way it affected our being, our doing, and maybe connected also with some always some, like we shared one song now, and maybe to have some music and some sound. I mean, Ihu, the last. Where was the last city before the lockdown? Where did you dwell? Where did you do your work and music?
Yeah, so normally I dwell in Abuja, but this year I've only actually spent only 1 month in Abuja. Before that, in December and January, I was in Lagos, which is still in Nigeria, and I was doing an artist in residency, which was really nice because I was working more kind of like multidisciplinary. So it wasn't just music, it was also visual art, etc. And I was living in Lagos, which is really so super fast paced, like kind of like New York on speed, even, or on the speed demon. The speed demon. New York on speed. I mean, this is it doesn't make any kind of like sense, you know what I mean? It's just, it's the future. It's like unraveling and you're riding on it, but somehow it works. So, but it was really like super dynamic. And then I went in, I was in Abuja for like a month, but I knew even from last year I would be in the States because I came here with my mom. And we decided to come and try and take the risk of that window because we didn't know that it was going to get locked down. But basically, the night before I was heading out of Abuja, the New York governor said that they would put a curfew or something in New York. So things were beginning to look a little bit weird. And my mom was like, okay, don't go to New York, come straight to Maryland or Virginia, where we were at the time. And I was like, I haven't seen my friends in 5 years. So I was like, I'm going to New York, you know, I'm just going to go. And I was there for like 5 days. When I got to New York, nobody was wearing masks. We weren't even checked the temperature at the airport when I arrived. And people were looking at me strange. I was wearing a mask, and then I dared not even wear the gloves. I was like, they're just going to think I'm really crazy around here. I remember like walking down the street, and a man on a motorcycle was like, you know, that's not going to help you. Like the mask, right? I was like, well, I mean, maybe it's not going to help me, but it's like better than nothing, right? I was like, you know, because at that time in America, they were telling everybody that the mask isn't going to work because blah, 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 whatever. So we were going around looking strange. And I remember even once going in the subway and be like, well, you know, no one's wearing a mask. This is so embarrassing. I like took down my mask. Yeah. And then someone coughed. I was like, where's my mask, man? But anyway, I got out of New York. And just as I got out of New York is when they put the lockdown on New York. And like, you know, a week later, it was a lockdown in Virginia where we were at the time because we were doing Airbnb. And that was, I got to Virginia on March 14th. A week later, there was the lockdown. And they said on March 14th that they weren't going to open up until June 10th. So that was like, what? Like really, like that was like, because everyone else was like, yeah, it's like 2 weeks, it's 1 month, whatever. But they were like, no, June 10th. So like, so we knew we were going to be here for like at least like 1 month, a month and a half, something like that. But we didn't know we were going to be here. Now I'm here on my like 3rd month or something. And I think the states have opened up here, but the country is still closed. And the numbers are going up, obviously, because, you know, they opened up too early and people are fighting the government about wearing the masks and all of this stuff and all of these different narratives, and everyone's confused, plus Black Lives Matter protests on top of that. So it's just like, we're just sitting here and then like, it's looking like we might not leave here until whenever they decide to open up America and let people from America into places. So I'm just like, we might need to like evacuate, you know, with whatever Nigerian government can like offer, because like I get a job, I just work from here. You know what I mean? So.
And how's the situation in Nigeria?
Yeah, the situation in Nigeria is okay. So by the 24th of March, they finally did their lockup. And yeah, no one was taking it seriously. No one really thought that it was going to happen. And then they took the lockup. And yeah, it's really hard because it's, you know, Nigeria, they said they were going to offer people subsidies or whatever. They did not give anybody, like, I mean, and in Nigeria, people live day to day. It's not like people live month to month. You know how people like live month to month? Like, oh, I don't know where my rent is coming next month or my food for next month. No. Everyone's like every day. So you can't like take a day off. You have to hustle every day. And there's no like support from the government or anything like that. And there you have to, not only do you pay electricity and utilities, you also pay for a generator because we don't have regular light all the time because they don't provide us regular light. So you even water, like you have to have your own borehole. So it's really like you're on your own sort of, and to exacerbate that, you know, like, you know, and the thing about Nigeria is like, yeah, we're always like, you know, so resilient. Yes, we're amazing. We're amazingly resilient. But like, I mean, right now it's just like the height of like, I don't know, the height of like the mambo stick, you know, like disrupting and hacking the mambo stick is like, the mambo stick is way too low. But I mean, everyone, the vibe I'm getting is like, yeah, I mean, people don't have money, whatever, but like at the same time, I don't know, I'm not getting any massive, crazy, urgent vibe like, oh, wow, all hell is breaking loose yet. But like if they don't open up soon, okay, so they've loosened the lockout down, is like been loosened up. So everything is not normal, but in stages. So churches are still not open exactly, or they try to open up churches and people aren't really doing that. Schools are not open yet. Only, what is it called? The people who are necessary for basic needs and whatever. Yeah. So, but they'll have to open up soon enough. So I think it's just going to be like everywhere else. It'll be eased open. But if they keep on extending it, then they're going to have like real problems because they don't do anything for the people. Sorry, government of Nigeria, but you don't do anything for people. So. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's so before we there are a couple of more question ideas, and it's great to have that inside and yeah, get the idea also of a feeling, also of lifestyle. And so coming back to you and entering now into what district did you say, Olivier, in Paris?
What did you say?
Where, if I see Paris as a map or something, where is it right now that you stated at?
Southeast.
Southeast.
Yeah.
All right.
Southeast. Yeah.
Okay, I can place that.
The subway station Nation.
All right. Nice one. And now you move and have band rehearsals again, or do you play out of window? Where did you perform? Where did you play? What is the mood you're in?
We made a record company with my band. It's called the Theater, the first record company, a label, and we had a gig the 14th of March to present the record company and to make our new songs. And then the day after, we want to make the new record, the new album. But we stayed one day recording, and then they cut it. It was a locked out. So we had to come back in the night to come back to Paris because we were not in Paris. So we had to stop the recording, and then I stayed in Paris and not playing until now. No gigs, no rehearsals, nothing.
And how does it feel now to take on your instrument and play after experiencing crazy times? Is it a new way that you feel the music because you feel that something is different in the world, or?
I can't say. I used to I practiced during the lockdown, and I wrote a lot of music on my computer on Cubase. Cubase, I wrote a lot of music, so I made 25 songs. So I was always into the music, not playing music with my friends, but into the music. So I was like out of the world. I was escaping the situation into the music. So I wrote all night, and yes, that's it. But of course, this situation is incredible. In the first time, I think for everybody. And I see it in Paris now. You can go since 1 week. You can go in restaurants. You can go in. So you see many people outside in restaurants and terrace, the cafe outside of the cafe. So life is coming back. The weather is very good. It's summer. It's starting. So life is coming back. But everybody is still scared. A little bit of scared.
Still scared. All right. And it's but we're not scared of sounds. You have a sound for us or some music. If you have your saxophone close to you, that would be great to.
Okay. It's the first time I play for an audience.
Sorry, excuse me?
It's the first time I play for an audience since a long time.
Merci beaucoup, hein, Olivier. Je pense qu'on écoute la musique du jazz de Paris. On sait que le monde est en ordre, plus ou moins.
Merci.
No, I think if you hear jazz out of a living room in Paris, then the world is in order again. It's repaired basically, and there's still a lot to repair. But I mean, the good moves are around. So let's move from Paris to London. That's been, I think, in the history of mankind, a travel that many people did. Writers, musicians, poets, politicians, civil people, sometimes soldiers. Anyway, so this bridge has seen a lot over the last hundreds of years, and it's great to enter this bridge musically. Shall we have Andrew has prepared quite an exciting setting that referring also a live intermission. Maybe we start in the living room of Sophie, if that is cool, with a song. If that is cool, Sophie, for you, maybe you just share a few words with us being back.
Yeah, I was over the last 3 months has been I feel very lucky because I live in a country that, well, I'm half Lebanese actually, so my family and friends in Lebanon are in a situation quite similar to what Ihu was talking about, where you're really on your own. I'm lucky enough to have been furloughed and paid by my employer, so I've been making music, but it's not been very bad for me, and I know I'm really one of the lucky few. So it's quite it's a confusing time, really, because I feel like I've been able to make a lot of music, but also, well, I've written songs about the situation. So I hope that that's my contribution into, or one of my contributions to like helping the situation in some way. I think that music is really important in that way. I saw this thing actually. They did this interview, they like asked people on the street all of the occupations that they thought were necessary, and then the least necessary, and the least necessary one, with 98% of people saying it was unnecessary, was artists. So that was quite sad and not fair, because I think that art is really important right now, personally. I think you guys agree. But yeah, I can play a song. Do you want to, I'm actually also untuned in D as well, to the like your
church bell. The church bell, yeah.
So that's fun. Hopefully it rings.
It just rang. Another 15 minutes, it will ring again, twice.
The song's not that long. Okay, I'm going to play a song it's called Parasite, actually, and it's kind of quite relevant. It's about sort of how people are made to feel parasitic very easily in society right now and in general. It's also meant to be funny. Is the sound okay? Can you hear it?
I can hear.
I don't feel like much more than I don't feel like much more than a parasite. I don't mind the parasite life. Dead living never dies. Can I use your mind to move all my limbs? Can I take your blood and leave just my sins? I am stuffed skin. I am stuffed skin. Give me your nutrients. I need them. Dead living. I am stuffed skin. I am stuffed skin. I am stuffed skin. Give me your nutrients. I don't feel like much more than a parasite.
Wow.
Nice, thank you, Sophie. Well, what is that guitar? Is that
The Harmony, it's from the 50s. Actually, I got it in an auction. It's a Harmony Stratotone. It's very light. I like the sound of it, but also it's really light, and that's good for me. And I recommend this guitar to any small people.
It's a very special sound. How far is you and Andrew away in flats and districts in London terms?
Opposite ends. I'm east, and you're west, aren't you, Andrew? Your mic's off.
I always feel like you're West London for some reason. Why is that?
I used to go out with someone in West London, and we broke up quite recently, so that might be why.
Because we were at this amazing club called the Lalo.
Yeah,
that was the event, right? The poetry night. Yeah, so spoken word. So actually, thanks to Sophie, I've been reintroduced to spoken word, which I lost touch with for a long time. It's an amazing art form, and I think your music as well plays a lot with words. With the it's the lyrics are it's like I said to you before. I thought that you have a lot of kind of like this Peggy Lee kind of telling a story, but it's sort of a quirkiness to it, which I've always really appreciated very much.
Thanks.
So yeah. But London is so. I think I guess I come in with a kind of a positive side to it, because when this thing all happened, I was already working for a couple of charities, so I was kind of in a lucky position that I could immediately look at the whole thing as being quite positive. So I wrote a couple of articles on how there was kind of a silver lining to this. And in our sphere of working in all the charity stuff. We've been, with three different charities, I either have been feeding homeless or keeping an eye on the refugees that we look after, or also managing in the Portobello area, working with the mutual aid network, which again is something that most of us who are more privileged, we don't necessarily come across mutual aid networks or support networks, but these exist in poorer communities all over the place. They exist in our cities, everywhere. And there are just ways that local communities can support each other. And as Ihu was saying, like in Nigerian places, when you don't have those systems, but also in London, supposedly, this amazing center of capitalism, we have places where, like in North Kensington, where, like West London, where there's 35% social housing. So when I started this, when we first talked 3 months ago, it was the beginning of the journey. And I think you can see here I sound a bit knackered now. Like I was up this morning at 8 a.m. making some food for somebody else's community kitchen. And then last night we actually had a Zoom panel. And we're at the point now where I pulled together about 6 or 7 different initiatives. And I said, look, I guess we all need to figure out, what do we do now? We've got now an economic fallout. And so do we continue doing what we're doing, but try to find a sustainable way, or do we walk away? And it's very hard for us to walk away. We're all, I've talked to executives in tech industries that have said, doing charity work suddenly during this period of time, being forced to do something has changed their life. And so they're all now looking at ways. So the good thing is the charity sector can then use some of this, banking and financial information, or people with different skills that are coming in and refreshing us and helping us. But it's a very interesting time. And like I said, we had the weirdest initiatives, like I was working with this homeless charity, and the shelter was closed because of COVID concerns. So literally we were locked out of a church where we had our thing. So luckily one of the Italians had a little Fiat, and that became our food bank. So it was kind of sort of somewhere between a food bank and a street food truck. And so every Saturday for the last 3 months, we get food delivered, or I make food now from a kitchen. Every Friday I make food. So we collect, like 300 meals and lots of organic vegetables. It's become like a market, and people just come up and they go away with like a week's worth of shopping. So we literally say to anybody, you don't have to tell us what your deal is. You know, we don't know. Maybe you're feeding 4 people in a squat, or you're feeding a family, or maybe you're just recently unemployed, or you're homeless. I don't know. It doesn't matter to us. We just make damn sure that we have as much food. And some weeks we run out and, you know, we're running around helping each other. And some weeks we have surplus and we pass that surplus on to places like, I don't know if you've all heard of Grenfell. And so the Grenfell disaster was pretty major. And so we passed food on through that community center and through other community centers around that area. And it's rewarding, but it can be exhausting sometimes, because the more people that are coming, the more food you have to find, more volunteers you have to find. And we have to also keep we can't burn ourselves out, which would be, so you feel like you just have to keep going and you can't get sick. It's like, it's not possible. So, but it's an interesting period of time. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, it sounds exciting and very substantial. And I followed your work anyways over the last month. So we've been in direct contact. And so apart from that, what you build up and the history on that, also maybe in the view of your art production and the view, you have an eye on the arts in different places, and you have a very clear eye on humanitarian work. You also created a humanitarian festival that for the first time has to be I think done completely online. Maybe we're going to talk about it later. There's also I think a video to prepare to, apart from the humanitarian work, to also see that we get maybe a glimpse of you as a filmmaker. Maybe you can say a few words on that, also with your idea to maybe bind Ihu in as an experiment. And I say everything we do here is an experiment. So it's not like we are the full radio station or TV station with the full setting, but the beauty is that we start experimenting and bringing ideas and people together and sounds. That we have a jazz sound from Paris in a living room, and I see there at the curtain there's a light coming out from the real Paris sun, and then I see a light in Sophie's living room, and then I see the coffee box of Ihu in Maryland. I think the beauty is that we all feel connected, and this is, I think, when Sophie said before, that it made you sad. What did you say, that the arts were in the last mention of a list, or what was it?
When? What did I say?
Before, I think you said something that the arts were at the very bottom of a certain list of priority within a connex of society. I can't remember exactly, but anyway.
Sorry, occupation.
Yeah, if you don't remember, it's anyway. The imagery was that it's the very end of the bottom of importance. But then on the other side, I think it's also good because that gives the view connected with let's say the humanitarian work and the view on the whole bottom size of societies. Where everything is coming together, the good, the bad, the rich, the poor, the healthy, and the sick. And to be stated there is not as bad as a perspective, because you need it for the good times, you need it for the bad times. So I don't worry too much about the ratings, ratings are just like in a stock exchange, can go up and down, as we know these days. And
I saw somebody, I don't know if you know, what's his name? I think Bernhard from Silu Records. So from my time in Vienna, when I was filming Vinyl, the one and only music music film of the Vienna modern music scene that exists to date, and I asked him, I said, what? And I was in his bedroom at the time, and I was in a lot of bedrooms. Like at that time, Dorian Concept was still in his bedroom at his parents' place, and I said, so what is success to you? And he said to me, success to me, it said, it depends. Is it successful if you get a gig in New York and only 10 people come? Or, do you need thousands of people? Or is it when something just very special happens that you want it to happen? So, there's the bell. But success really depends on everybody. It's however you define success, I think. And I think maybe that goes the same with most musicians I've met, is that it's just a joy of playing. and performing. And that's, I think, one of the hardest things was during this whole period of time, and why it's so great to have spaces like this where we've used the digital technology to give this performance space. I think it's amazing.
Nice one. And from all the different perspectives, I mean, you have footage basically from the crowded times in Vienna. You have footage a lot from the music scene in Vienna, but also in other places. You filmed, I think, recently in Morocco. You did shoots in London. There's something I think you prepared, or we have, where we can have a glimpse.
Yeah, I think.
And there's an idea also musically from your side.
Let's see. Let's show the first one. So basically, the first clip is both clips are from a show that we filmed last year. So I got invited to come on and direct and produce an episode of We Speak Dance, which was on Netflix in 2018. And funnily enough, we shot an amazing, or they shot, I wasn't on the show at the time, a great episode in Lagos. It's actually one of my favorite episodes, and one of the ones that convinced me that I really like this show. And in it, the host of the show ends up on stage with Femi Kuti, which is pretty cool. And I saw Sean Kuti in Paris at La Défense during Fête de la Musique 3 years ago, which was an amazing experience. And so we filmed, basically, the idea of We Speak Dance is connecting the world through dance. That's it. So, it's like, again, answering like with Sophie's question, what is the importance of arts or performing arts? Well, you can see that when we have dancers dancing in the street, people stop and they smile and they get inspired. And it transforms the public space from a gray, busy, polluted, stressful space into something beautiful and wonderful. And you see human beings who are using their bodies or using music or using sound to create wonderful feelings and to transform the space. So basically, this first clip is the one where we filmed outside the Marrakesh train station. We couldn't film inside because Marrakesh, everywhere you have secret police everywhere. Like literally the very first day, we opened the camera and somebody came up in the Casbah Marrakesh and said, "Where is your permit?" And we're like, okay, thank God we have one. And everywhere, it was bizarre. Like, I didn't know how they found us. So they found us there, and this guy came up, and I was exasperated. And I said to him in really bad French, as the English do, I said, "Look, I'm sorry, mate, but this is really pissing me off. Like, we can't film. Like, we just want to film something for Netflix, and it's some beautiful dancers. We're all here. We just want to do something lovely." And the guy was like, and I'm thinking he's going to be all secret police copy dude. And he said, "You know what? See over there, that bus only runs every half hour. It just went by, so you have half an hour, and you can dance in the street over there." So I went over to the contemporary dance, the head of the company, Taufik Izadiu, and I said, "What do you think? I mean, should we dance in the street? I mean, we're up for it. Apparently, if the dancers don't mind risking it." And then you'll see that at some point it actually cuts to the old slave gate, which I guess is also quite topical, in the old city in Marrakesh. So it's a famous gate there that you enter the city. And so we filmed in these two different locations. And often what we would do is we would ask the dancers, like, where do you want to, film? What is good for you? And what will inspire you? So we filmed two different types of dance. So now you'll see some contemporary dance. And then afterwards, later on the show, we'll show you some break dance, which Ihu will play live over, which should be fun. So I think Michael is queuing up hopefully the correct clip, not the one with time code, Michael.
He says the one is with 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, it's the other one. It's the.
I think he prepared the one with the okay.
Hopefully he's got.
Let me see.
I think it's working. Yeah, that's the one. So hopefully we can play. Yeah, is it playing?
Shall we go back on?
I think there were some technical issues there because I think when we don't mute, I think it might have flipped back. And I think also, I don't know, was it playing smoothly for anybody?
I watched it, and it's a.
Was it playing smoothly? No.
It was a bit glitchy.
It was yeah. It wasn't smooth, okay, because that clip is actually very, very smooth. I think maybe we give a link to the clip for people afterwards. I think is fine.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah, I think we're sort of limited a little bit with our technology right now, which sucks. But I have a solution for the other clip. I think there's another technical solution for that one. But let's see. Let's hope the other one plays a bit better because. Yeah.
Anyway, we can link them. And when we link them is it's exactly it will be classic quality for what it's worth, which is great.
Yeah.
And anyway, so what you said from the spontaneous setting and what happens if you go into the street? It does a transformation, it does a change, and it's here. Andy did from the day one. Basically, he started with window concerts every day. Basically, I think for more than 40 days.
From the 13th of March till the 1st of May.
And I think so. The national TV, the ORF, I think made a feature every night of a different happening in ever since lockdown. I think at number 1 or 2 it has been your window. And so you've been really been consequent on creating something out of your window, and with 2 quite amazing I think setups. The one is to say, like, I won't play a song twice. So, and at least I think every time you had 5 to 10 songs, most likely.
The first week I started with 10 songs, and then it started getting real cold in Austria. So I reduced to 5 songs, and luckily I reduced because then it came to my mind, how many songs would I need till we open up again? And at least they were about 250 different songs then, and I had to learn day and night because I played everything by heart. So all the songs that came to my mind, and I could maybe transform on acoustic guitar and only voice. Yeah, it wasn't that easy, but it was fun, and I got a huge repertoire right now.
I can say, I mean, it reminded me on my days in Paris. I always also used to play at different places and Fête de la Musique and other spaces. But I mean, like 250 songs, that is already a catalog. And so after the window, I think you transformed and played on the street ever since it got warmer, if that is right?
Yeah, so after 4.5 weeks, we thought we could risk it, that we could sit in a distance about 1 meter with a dear female singer friend of mine, Monika Ballwein. She's also very much known in Austria, and she sang a lot of TV shows. And we have got a band together. We have been working for over 20 years, and then we played 8 days in a row with Monica, so about 40, 50 songs with Monica, and then I changed with other bands I play with, trios, and yeah, we did the songs we had in our programs. So I play with several different bands and different genres, and yeah, it was very. It made a difference. Of course, it made a difference because we brought people together on the street who were living in the street for over maybe 20, 30 years that didn't know each other, and yeah, they suddenly came in contact, and was a very beautiful experience.
Yeah, no, it was exciting. So last night it was the first time that I actually had time to and where I know that he was performing and playing. So I went down, and it's the same street, so it's like a 1.5 minute walk. And then you enter and you see people standing on the other side of the street. You see people on their balconies, and there was really a great creation. And the people were already used to be there every evening, basically, and he's performing in front of a garage. It's a great setup, very spontaneous.
Without amplification, so I had to sing very loud and play really loud. And it was amazing that my voice didn't get broke up all these days, so it was a very cool experience for me. Gave me self-confidence to play without amplification in front of maybe 50 people that are 100 meters away from me.
Yeah, so it's all over the street, people out of their windows, and it was very rhythmical, and people started to talk with each other. And then also I was there, obviously, like the new guy, still a neighbor, but coming in new, so people and faces that you don't know. And so there people immediately talk, and it's something opened up, and every second person said it was so important for them to get to know the people. Where there was one guy who actually, for the first song we sang tonight, was by Hermann Leopoldi, and there was an older dude saying, yeah, I've met Leopoldi live, because we played that song spontaneously last night as you invited me to join. So that's my re-invitation here. And no, so you get to talk to people, and everybody was really happy the way that they made feel home in their own street, you know. So you shut down, but basically for the first time in 2030, for the one guy, it was 70 years. It's the first time that you really connect with people that you live, and your neighbor, or more or less, you know, or next house, for decades. And I think this is something very special. And when Olivier mentioned Fête de la Musique, those things are really, really special. Or Andrew mentioned what in connection with officials or secret services to tell you, this is the chance, this is your lockdown, this is your moment to shoot. And yeah, so we would play one song, and then we go. I think it'd be great to enter Ihu's mind and repertoire, and whatever story we come up with, we move on, you know.
Shall I play?
It would be great. It would be great. I mean,
so during lockdown, Bill Withers passed away, and this next song is a positive, very positive song by Bill Withers, and it's called "Lovely Day." Can you hear me? All right. When I wake up in the morning, the sunlight hurts my eye, and something without warning bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Oh, just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. Sing it, Dominic. A lovely day, 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 a lovely day. impossible to take, and someone else instead of me always seems to know the way. But then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Yeah, just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely day. A lovely day. Gonna be a lovely day, 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 a lovely day. A lovely day. Thank you. Andy Gabau in the house, basic, and it's it's been a great show for many on the streets, and it's time for going back back out in the streets. Ihu, how did you experience passing of Bill Withers? Are you Bill Withers fan, or is it not your music style? You great in electronic music. You're featuring music in 3 different continents. You from New York. You're deep in the Vienna electronic music. You have a label where many great artists that I know and I'm friends with are upon that label. Abuja, Lagos scene. Maybe give a quick, if you want, a quick shout on Bill Withers, but also more importantly, I want to hear about your work.
There are so many artists, musicians that passed away during COVID. Manu Dibango.
Really?
Manu Dibango passed. What's the name? Tony Allen passed.
Yeah.
From this is the former drummer for Fela Kuti. Used to live in Paris. The guy, Doa Florian from Kraftwerk. There's so many artists who died. I think now they're cooling down a little bit, but there was really like at least 10 to 15 people. I was like, there is this lovely singer who used to be on a record label called Z Records from the late 70s, early 80s, which was this post-punk or kind of like this funk punk wave band. Or she was a solo artist. Her name was Christina without an H, and she was from New York, and she passed away. There have been so many amazing, beautiful artists that have passed away during this time, and it's been really sad, But as far as like what I'm doing, you make it sound like a big deal. It's just me. I'm the only one. It is me, and a few ideas here and there, and then I try them and I do them as projects, and I move on to the next, and then I remember I have a label because I have some other projects or whatever, Yeah, but it's just me. But what is Ihu doing at the time? That's the whole point.
Exactly.
Exactly. And so during the lockdown, I've launched a podcast called House, which is a party that I do in Abuja normally, a house party that I do in my house in Abuja. So we're in lockdown, and it was funny enough, I took a podcasting workshop because a friend was just doing a podcasting workshop in late February, and I was like, I want to do a podcasting workshop because I'm thinking to help promote the party and just to add a new dimension to the party. And then I was forced to launch it during the lockdown. So I haven't done too many episodes anyway, but it's been really so much fun. I love this format for not only DJing, but also for like talking a little bit and engaging with people. And I did a little bit of interviewing now also. So it's really like a nice rounding up of like everything together. Since I've been here in Maryland or in America, basically, I've been taking like little courses here and there and trying to figure out, trying to slowly land onto my music regimen after being so cerebral and thinking about different things. So this is the beginning of me getting into my music from now, and I'm just allowing myself from now until whenever I feel like it, because honestly, it's so much easier for me to do other stuff than like to get into my music, because it means I have to get into me and I have to dig inside, you know, to bring something out. And I'm like, I would rather do other stuff, you know, like manage other things. So, but now I'm slowly landing into the music making, which is gonna be nice. Yeah.
Which is great. Does it have a website name like your podcast? Is it something, can we access it? I mean, we'll also try to link it on the website, but I mean, like...
I have a Mixcloud for House, and I'll give you the information. So it should be House X House X House, and same thing on Instagram is House X House X House. So yeah, we're just a baby. We just started, but...
All right, yeah, but it's...
You know, communicate. I'm trying to build this network between, because we're trying to establish something in Abuja and in Nigeria, because they're really not into electronic music over there. So it's kind of like, also kind of like education a little bit. And then also, obviously bringing in friends from Vienna or from outside America, or new friends or whatever, anyone that piques my interest as far as house and techno music, etc.
The house and techno in Abuja and Lagos is not yet there where you wanted, and you maybe are a pioneer in the scene then.
Yes, you could call me a pioneer on the scene, because when I first started organizing events over there, I realized though that, I mean, the only people that were interested really were like expats who were missing home music, because in Nigeria we have a very strong local pop sound, which is called... they're calling it Afro beats with an S at the end, but it has nothing to do with Afrobeat. It is, I call it Naija pop. It's like pop music, contemporary Nigerian flavor. But then someone in London, Andrew, made up Afro beats. You know, in London and UK, they're always coming up with new genres and subgenres that was the same kind as before, but they added new names so they can market it. They did that to us. So they did that to us. And those guys are squatting on Afrobeat name. But anyway, so our Afrobeats sound in Nigeria is super, super hard, very, very popular. And it's ubiquitous. It's like for any occasion, it doesn't matter how somber, it's the same thing. It's dance music, you know? And it's very upbeat. And even now, like, I think there were collaborations with Beyonce and with Drake, you know, like I mean, when I left Vienna, I left Vienna, then I came back, and then in some locations you hear people actually playing Nigerian pop. I'm like, what the hell is going on? You know? And then when I get to Nigeria, they're like, oh, you're going to make music like this, right? I'm like, no, I've been doing the other one for like 20 years. I'm not going to stop now. So I'm like the contrarian when I'm in Nigeria, and like they're exporting this thing all over the world. So I'm like, I don't know what to do. But of course, you know, like, I mean, obviously, like as a consumer or whatever, I appreciate that sound or whatever. But in a way, it's really like so addictive that you don't even get a lot of variety other than that, you know, like normally. So now, you know, I think actually now the lockdown is what is allowing people to listen to other kinds of sounds, because it is very much this hyper dancing music, and very, very stimulating and addictive. And now that everyone has to be like at home and bored or whatever, I guess they're not listening to it that much. So now they can take more mid-tempo flavors or down-tempo flavors or whatever, and maybe listen to like lyrics now finally. So yeah, I'm an advocate, but I'm also kind of like, yeah, a contrarian also.
Nice one. Yeah, that's exciting frame up. I mean, do you have some sounds of yours somehow, or some mixes or something of the podcast, some Ihu vibes that you could share? Or is it from the
right now?
Yeah.
Well, I would have to.
We can also move on and you think of it.
Yeah, I can set it up for later.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. We want to hear something.
Yeah.
You know, it's getting all exciting.
Yeah, maybe you can hear a little bit of an interview I did with this guy called Snacks from New York, who is a really lovely artist. So that was me being kind of more like journalistic. For me, that's interesting. Talking musician to musician, or producer to producer, or DJ to DJ. That's actually the new wave after all this while. So it's cool.
Nice one. Yeah. So let's end it there. moving then to Paris. Fête de la Musique is always been one of my favorite festivals since the mid 90s or early 90s, and I've played there a couple of times. I joined in most of the times and experienced many great things. It was how was it? Was La Fête de la Silence last week, or was it? Or did it happen? What was the situation?
After the first try to make the album, and then we came back in Paris for the lockdown. We went back to the studio to finish the album. So I was over there during the La Fête de la Musique. But the government said you can make the Fête de la Musique normally. Everybody can come and play. And the Fête de la Musique is the most crowded day in Paris, in France. Everywhere, everybody it's crowded. Everybody playing music in the street. So they said it's going to happen, and then they realized that it could be very dangerous about the COVID to put so many people in the same place in the same moment. So they said, okay, no band, but everybody has to learn a song from a French singer, and you have to play it by the window. Can you imagine? They said to musicians, okay, you earn this song. It's a Véronique Sanson song, and they even made a tutorial. You understand tutorial on YouTube? There was a video to show you how you can play the song. So they say you have to play this by the window. So it's.
And did you also perform on, or?
No, I was in studio recording my album, but some people did it. But many people didn't do it. And I saw videos, and there was many people in the street. Despite the situation, everybody was outside and dancing and blah blah blah, like usual, as usual. So it's the same situation because we don't know if there is going to be a second wave. So we are in between, and the government, they always change. The message is always changing because they don't know anything about this virus. So they said you can do this, and then you cannot do this, and then you cannot. It's changing every day. So the Fête de la Musique was special.
Nice one. That's yeah, I think I just imagine myself in the situations, and imagine passing through and hearing songs out of the window, and in the other way.
One song.
But it is out of the city with one song, you know. It's
yes, on the country. But national.
Wow, I mean, if Paris would be one sound speaker, you know, going off in the universe.
Yeah, exactly. The message, the French message.
It's a French mosaic. Yeah, exactly. They're crazy. You have to tell me the song later again. We have to watch it anyway. And yeah, is there? Can you play the melody to that song, or I mean, would you rather have a?
Never.
So it's that bad.
You don't say to a musician. You don't say when you're a politician to a musician what he has to play. Yeah.
It's against any freedom of art.
Yeah, of course, it's freedom. I mean, it's strange.
But I mean, yeah, that's also a statement. It's also like connecting by disconnecting, basically, you know. Because I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
What is the response? But anyway, exactly. So what is your music response to that?
You mean now?
Yeah, I mean, you're next to a window, and it's a week after Fête de la Musique, and what would you play for us now, basically, having in mind?
Okay.
Right here.
Yes.
Sorry, coach.
Little girl of 18 years old is always talking to me during the interview.
She's excited, that's good.
Yes.
Oh, bonsoir, bonsoir, comment allez-vous, hein? Ça marche? Bonsoir. C'est quoi ton nom?
Constance.
Ah,
Constance.
Constance. Salut, c'est Vienne ici. Hein? Je suis Dominique. Je m'appelle Dominique. Et toi, tu vois où? D'Amérique, et d'Abuja, Nigeria, et aussi à Vienne. Et voilà, c'est Sophie de Londres. Et ça, c'est Andrew. Andrew.
Salut.
Like one.
Yes, exactly.
Very nice. Yeah, that's the beauty. I think the whole idea of this concept is to just get into different. Basically, we're talking about phases and clouds or whatever and different circles. I think it's a purity and it's an openness, and that is beautiful, you know. And I think like last week I had people from the cultural capital of Rijeka, and we found out everyone of the guest row had either cats or dog, you know, waiting also like to either be back in the scene or not. And so yeah, so let's move from La Fête de la Musique to the Fête de Sophie NAUFAL. Sophie, do you have maybe just one word again on the Lebanese scene? That would be great. And also, coming back to that, maybe followed by a song. That would be beautiful.
Hey, am I unmuted? I haven't been to Lebanon for a couple of years now. But the last time I went, there are some amazing musicians in Lebanon. There's a really big jazz scene in Lebanon, actually. But it's sort of jazz with the kind of Middle Eastern elements to it. And I did play with some amazing musicians there last time I went. But yeah, I haven't been for a long time. I feel bad. I should go and visit. It makes me feel bad, but I can't now. But yeah, I wanted to say also, I've been doing a live stream myself called Streaming Down the House. If anyone wants to check it out, it's on Tuesday, and it's musicians playing in a similar style to this, but maybe a bit less talking, and mainly music, and also poetry. And it's called Streaming Down the House. Sorry, little plug. I'm not subtle.
That's all good.
Yeah, should I play a song? I've got a song that I want to play, which is kind of about, I think it's very relevant right now because it's sort of about harm that can come from implicit or sort of not speaking, not saying anything, not doing something, or just the harm that can come from silence in a sense, which is really relevant, like the way governments are behaving, also, you know, in terms of the Black Lives Matter protests, how not saying anything is a harmful act and a statement in itself. So, yeah, I'm going to listen about that. It's very abstract, actually, when you actually hear it. It's called gaping. I'm in the pulling anchor of my I'm in the pulling anchor of my waiting inside and unsaid. Our souls cannot rest. Our souls cannot rest. I'm in the I'm in the gaping ocean of your eyes. I'm in the broken shadow of that time. I'm in a random notion of your mind. Searching through nothing for a reason you would lie. I'm in the gaping. Somebody else's kitchen, somebody else's lobby. I'm in somebody else's body. I'm in the I'm in somebody else's profits. I'm in somebody else's struggle. I'm in somebody else's good luck. I'm in There you go.
Love it. Great, great. It's a great mix and wide range. And yeah, staying in the city, Andrew perceiving, accessing and entering many pieces of arts, many meadows of arts, and so there's another one, and there's another imagery, and there's another video that you brought basically to us.
Yeah, I think that we might have to do this in a kind of old school style, because I think that if the same quality is on the other one, then it's not going to work. So there's another way to do this. But I think Michael is now sending. Oh, he says the video is now okay. I'm reading this. I feel like I'm talking to my AI. You know. So yeah, video is okay. Don't worry. Okay, so apparently video is okay. So just very briefly, because I definitely would love to hear lots more from Olivier, because I think you have this like mournful sound, and I feel like I'm walking through. Paris was a place where my heart got broken for the first time when I was 17. Très dur, hein? Oh. It's hardcore, and
it's a good city to have your heart broken,
I guess. And also from Sophie, of course, as usual. I also love just your take on life and just that. And I think it's also interesting how Sophie's always experimenting. So every time I hear a song of hers or any style, she's always brings something else in, and yeah, it's always interesting and intriguing in that sense. So definitely, I hope we hear more from these guys in our last bit. So just very briefly, my thing has been very much giving people space to play. So actually, you played some years ago, about 9 years ago, at an event that I co-produced with Elsa Okazaki, a very well-known photographer. It was Help for Japan. And we raised quite a lot of money. And
As is living in Vienna.
Yeah, that's when I was living in Vienna. So I arrange events where people can come and show what they're doing. So, for instance, I just recently have done some collaborations with the French Institute, l'Institut Français, here in London, and we just showed a girl from Mogadishu, which was a UK cinema premiere that we had to do online. So that was learning how to do a film festival online. Very strange. All the other film festivals I've done have always been obviously, in real life. And coming up in July, so again, also shameless plug, we are going to have another. We had a panel discussion, by the way. Girl from Mogadishu is about the issue of ending FGM. And coming up, we have now a film called Chronique d'un été, which is a very famous film, which started it was produced and directed by Edgar Morin and Jean Rouch. And they came up with the very first Cinéma Vérité. That was when it was first used. So that was 1960. So this is the 60th anniversary screening. And we are hoping to have Edgar Morin, who was actually tweeting he's like in his 90s, and he was tweeting, right? Solidarity, yeah. And so I really hope we have him because, so we're trying to find the right date and whatever, but it'll be in July sometime. So I like giving space and a platform for people as well, and I hope to do more of that once we're out of lockdown, and I'll be booking Sophie for sure, and Olivier if you come to London, and also Ihu. Obviously, there is always amazing space for electronic producers, basically, to give a wonderful ambiance in a space. So before we get back to the live music, right now we have live, hopefully, Ihu, are you ready? We've got it queued up, and apparently the video is going to play fine, and it's queued up. And by the way, everybody has to mute. That includes you, Dom. Otherwise, I think the image will flash back and forth to you, to whoever makes the sound.
Yeah, I think Mike is always muting us, basically.
What about that? Ihu, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, so
let me send a signal and see what happens.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, and I think people, I guess, can turn up. People listening can just turn it up themselves, I guess, right? Because it's a little bit low.
Yeah, that was it. It's not at maximum capacity. That's just it.
Oh, okay, let's max it up. Let's give it some. All right. As we say here, right, Sophie? I think we need to, you know, keep alive our little crazy Anglicisms. All right, so I guess as the director, I will just say now. By the way, this is raw footage. So this is unseen footage. It has not been screened by Netflix yet. It'll be in our season 2 of We Speak Dance. So right now online you can only see season 1, but we have Paris actually in season 1, by the way, and Lagos. Anyway, but we'll have Morocco, Brazil, whatever. So this is from the Morocco episode, and it's raw footage. So I guess if you're ready, Ihu. How do you want to do this? Do you want to start some beats first, or you want to start the beat when you see the image?
I can start, and then the image, I'll just play around.
Okay, great. I don't know what Ihu's going to play. It's going to be really a surprise to me as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this material responds to music and vice versa. All right, so I guess action.
Die macht den Beat und die spielt.
Fantastic. I was just going to suggest that you should jam in, you know, that the all three of you should try to jam in. Like
we can do a jam. We can totally do a jam. There were so many, yeah.
I mean, you have an idea now how each of you are playing. So I'm thinking, you know, if it's possible, you've got, you know, you've got a beat maker, you've got and two instruments that often play with beats. So I think it could be kind of a nice little combination there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it possible between Paris, London, and Maryland? Is that possible?
Yeah, that's today.
That's today. We can make it happen, and I think it would fit totally to our finale. So let me just now we have like it could go on forever anyway. But then we have a finale. We have a special guest arriving for a few minutes, and exactly because we had Andy already in our show, Andrew and Sophie, and maybe from Berlin, just here today.
Just visiting.
Amber Riedel from the great Riedel family, and Amber from the great platform that she built up, the Makerist. She's the reason that I could make she was also a guest in our season, I think two months ago when it all started. And then she explained how to make your own mask within 3 minutes. And the idea is that whenever, we hope it's never going to be needed, but whenever there's a second or third wave, or maybe there's no wave at all anymore coming on that side. But anyway, then we prepared. So, I did this, it took me 40 minutes, even more, but only with the help of my wife, who is able to rule or to guide me through this. But my dream is always to make sewing machine sounds, and my great friend Bernie Hammer from Electro Guzzi, and Bernie, who is also with a different project on the label of Ihu, so all the situations here gathering together, coming together, which is beautiful. And so he was there with an electronic sewing machine, which is another project of ours. And I used to So basically, we should sing this with maybe that's the time over. But Amber, it's great that you're here, and that was a great. And you have the biggest sewing platform in Europe, basically. The way you use, which is amazing in itself already. And how was the last 3 months for your idea, for your the work that you've been building up? Yeah. And you, when we talked, you created already 17,000 masks. And that was March for from your network for hospitals, for communities, for institutions. So that was also like a great spread of using between the net, but then it's a beautiful bridge between the net and actually the building, manufacturing and doing DIY and whatever, So
totally, yeah. In the end, I think in the end we did like 60,000 masks, which we donated, which was pretty great. But then at the end, basically, everyone was just sick and tired of masks. They were like, leave us alone with those stupid masks. We only wear masks because we have to. We're sick of it. We can hardly breathe. They suck. We just want life to go back to normal. So it's sort of like the good spirit that we had in the beginning with all the mask making. At one point, it just like nosedived, and people were just, everyone in Corona went like up and down and up and down. And in the beginning, the mask making was like really fun and like community spirited and everything. And at one point, people were like, "Leave me alone with those fucking masks. I just want to go on with my life."
Yeah. Is that in Vienna, or where is that? Is that in Vienna?
No, I'm based in Berlin.
Okay, in Berlin. Okay, it sounds like America.
Yeah. So I'm not really fitting in actually to your guys' show and everything. So I'm not doing music. I'm just doing like music with my fingers on the keyboard. I'm doing a lot of typing, a lot of emails and stuff. But
that's a great way to see it.
I like to be here and listen in.
No, that's great. So 60,000. That's a city basically that you provided, but also from your platform where people maybe. I think the beauty is to for me was I'm a complete idiot on sewing machines, even though I already had a big orchestra performance in Milano a couple of years at the Salone del Mobile, performing with sewing machines, and it's still something that I'm going to continue.
We are going to connect on that.
We're going to connect on that.
It's
hopefully,
amazing.
It's a great thing.
We have to spread that with
with Ihu, or maybe we can win you Ihu on that. We have Bernie and the Gutzis, and so it's a great thing, and I love creating. As you said, you don't fit. Of course, you fit in because it's all people who did something and who knew something, and it's still also like it's a matter of art, And I'm happy to have it and wear it, and so it wasn't like it was rather my wife helping me. Otherwise, it would be like in reading. the connections and how to. It's not really my language, but I want to learn. So it's I'm always open for that. So basically, summing it up, it was beautiful to gather people. Some I've met for the first time, like Olivier, but a mutual friend spoke so highly about you, and jazz in Paris is always great. So next time you come to Vienna, or as Andrew invited to you, London, I think there's already like a field of great vibes that we build upon and hopefully build upon in future more. And so either we join in and the next Fête de la Musique, we visit you in the bus, or we make something in Vienna or whatever. But it was
that's one song, yeah.
no, but merci mille fois pour nous joindre by performing. And as Andrew suggested, there's always a final song. It's called what is it called? Always look on the bright side of life, That's we continued all over the series. Every, I think it's the 15th series, the 15th Thursday ever since the beginning of it all. And I would, as Andrew said, it would be great if we all, even though like technically I think it's a nightmare because it's not like easy to connect. But I want to thank you all. I want to thank you, Andrew, for the work and showing us in unauditioned and unseen spots of your work. Also like the humanitarian work and the humanitarian film festival, and also the spirit that you are. It's great to have you on board of the House of Heart in general anyway, but also particularly that night. Sophie, it is exciting to hear the sounds, the mixtures, the drives between lyrics, singing.
Great.
And mixing it up with the beats. I love the idea of freedom. If I hear, I don't even know if the window is open, but I see the curtains of Olivier, and then a saxophone, and just a cool saxophone musician, and I know Paris. So it was great. Just only even if there's no sound, and we are all musicians, that would already be a great pace. But it was beautiful to have you around on board, and thank you for your spontaneous action. And talking about spontaneous, Andy and Amber, that was like decided like 2 hours ago, and because they were just coming in, rounding, and we were planning to meet. And so I mean, this was really spontaneity here on board, which is great. It's also showing that wherever we go, there's always a fixed point. There's always a fixed point, exactly. Yeah. And we can arrive to it spontaneously. And Iho, it was great. I would love to continue more, maybe in future, to know more about Lagos, Abuja, the art scene, because you're not only in the electronic music, you're in many other art scenes. So let's please continue on that. Also,
thank you for the invitation.
And whenever also you ways, sorry, Andrew.
Regarding Lagos, Nigeria, we have the We Speak Dance episode. Please see that. It's really good, and it opens your eyes to Lagos, and it opens your eyes to the dance scene, which is connected to the art scene, which is connected to the music scene, and you'll see a wonderful performance there from one of the Kuti family, from Femi Kuti.
How are we going to get access to this?
You can check on Netflix, so it's available on Netflix now. So that's season 1, and then you'll see that's the kind of thing that we're producing for season 2. So the thing that we just did together tonight, that material is from season 2, and that performance was the B-girls, and that's why I really wanted to focus on that B-girl, because the breakdance scene is often very male. So we really made a focus, and also it's very important. In some countries, it's very difficult, and even I guess in our space as well, sometimes for women to be as free in open spaces and public spaces. So it was very important for us when we were filming and throughout Morocco to push that, And last but not least, Sophie was the first one at the very beginning who was playing with you, Dom, the song that we're about to play now. So she started this with us.
Yeah, she was there from the beginning, which was really, really great. And yeah, so thanks also to Ihu. And so next week is our finale. We're finishing like this episode of covering this time, like all of 20 years of creating, of having the Laden, of doing the crazy thing. It's the first season basically having the Laden without being in the Laden, which is the art room in the 8th district in Vienna. But next Thursday it's the final, the grande finale, and the grande finale, ci vediamo alla fine, will be or we'll try to set it up actually in the Laden. So, and I think Elemoto, a friend of mine from Namibia, he confirmed he's in. And then we see how we create what we will create, but it will be the grande finale, and maybe finishing also with the songs that we're entering now. And to also, like, for all those days, who was the guy who was pushing us, driving the locomotive, the DJ of the technical side. Big hands up to Mike, who was great. I mean, making it all possible, connecting so many different continents, so many different countries, so many different cities, so many different beautiful hearts. And it's a house of hearts, because every one of you is really, like, not only as a personality, but personality and, like, what you deliver and what you bring in, you know. And it's art in the big sense. Also, that what you do is art.
In a little sense.
In a little sense, it's like. So we had pilots. We had so many different, like, sceneries from exactly. Or especially if you look at Andrew, you know, that you cannot define it on some point. You know, he's a filmmaker. He's a curator of other things. He's like a supporter of the arts. He's humanitarian work. So I mean, basically, it's really hearts that we group together. Thanks to Mike, you know, who made it possible that we enter in a Parisian home. And where Olivier's daughter gave him time and let him alone, you know, with a couple of weirdos that he haven't seen before, you know, where he would just spend wherever she is on an afternoon, spending time with us when it's dark.
I started drinking wine now. I was like, I'm not going to wait now.
At 4 in the afternoon. I know, that's the House of Hearts. That's great. Sophie, thank you for your sound, the songs, you know, everything. And Andrew for your inspiration. Andy for doing, I think, so many nights, you know, songs like out of his window and on the street. So every one of us really did some changes. Amber, 60,000 masks, you know, donating to different kind of people who needed it. So there is a lot of great vibe and great power, and it's beautiful, and I think it's worth connecting and you know, spending a night sharing that and sharing it with the arts and music. So thank you all.
Thank you, Dominic.
And yeah, and let's take it on.
Thank you, Dominic.
No, it's great to have you here. So I wanna, you know, as we said, or as Andrew said, you know, we're building up the bridge. It's just partially that we just finish it tonight. We go on with it. Next Thursday we have the grande finale. But it would be great if we all, like, you know, the lines that we did, and in a way, you know, it's connecting, you know. So that is good.
Can I say one thing? I just want to say something.
Or two things.
Yeah, but just that, you know, one thing about this whole COVID thing and the whole being locked down or whatever, and us all going online and doing the streaming thing, although I'm just starting with going on, is an amazing portal. And it's something that you should continue in some capacity. And I intend to continue with these online things, because they're filling vacuums that are needed even when we go back on ground, you know. So
yeah, I agree.
Well done, and continue what you're doing, everybody.
No, and that's beautiful, and that's also like for the community that we have in the Laden. Basically, I thank also those people who follow, to inspire, you know, who bring in new vibes and new inspirations. That's also a powerful thing for the last 20 years, and for the first time, it's like it's on the digital, virtual side or online side. But I think, who knows?
It goes on.
It goes on. It goes on.
So no one should be lonely.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's funny you said that, actually, because that's the motto of our charity, Santa Gidio, is to leave no one alone. So we realized very early on that loneliness would be a big issue. So that's why we do the things that we do the way we do them. And also shameless plugging. So don't forget that we're going to have this film festival coming up. So hopefully we can also, you'll be able to see the guy who invented or who came up with the term cinema verite, which is pretty cool. You know, it's like, and shameless plugging to Sophie, because I think Sophie, you have to tell people again about your stream, because I love the spoken word in that stream, Sophie. I really do. I think it's brilliant.
It's called Streaming Down the House.
Yeah, cool name.
Yeah, it's good that it came to me suddenly. Some people don't like it. I think it's all right. Streaming Down the House, it's on YouTube, but if you go to my Instagram, which I think is on the screen, it's in the bio. And we're doing our next one on Tuesday, so be there.
Highly recommend it. It's awesome. It's really good London stuff. So there we go.
That is great. No, I recommend every one of you because it's just it's great art. I mean, it's what all of you do and all of you perform. So it's the huge variety that is covered. So let's all tune in and try to find the one spot, even if it's technically completely rack. It doesn't matter if we have Ihu.
That's
from another continent to Paris to London, it doesn't matter. If we all put in some crazy sounds, it's just finishing it up. It's been a House of Hearts. It's the finale before the finale, and then we cut it off. So thank all for coming in, joining in, and for all of you being here. I love that saxophone, that's grande. Merci mille fois, Olivier, pour ton spontanéité. Après la fête de la musique, having the fête of the House of Hearts, and greeting to Constance and all the music. And thank you, Hugh. Let's kick it. We just put in what we have.
Okay, so who's starting? Someone has to start. Or am I starting?
Okay. Dominic is starting.
Some things in the man, they can really make you mad. Other things just make you smile and curse. Don't be silly, chum. Dream and listen well, that's the thing. And always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the bright side of life. If life seems jolly rotten, there's something you've forgotten, and that's the love to smile and dance and sing. When you're feeling down, don't give silly jumps. Remember lips and whistle, that's the thing. And always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the light side of life. Life's a piece of shit, when you look at it. Life's a joke and dancing with inside. Be looking on life's gristle, don't rumble, yellow whistle. Remember that the last of it's on you. And always look on the bright side of life. Thank you, Andrew. Da 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 da. And always look on the bright light of life. Thank you, Ihu. I wish you all the best from your lockdown, coming back to Abuja and connecting with the rest. I'm very excited to see if there is Afrobeat exporting. You're importing your electronic know-how, your art. Yeah. Merci mille fois, Olivier, pour donner un petit peu de la fête de la musique. C'est important comme la rose. C'est important. C'est super bon. Merci mille fois. C'était trop gentil. Salut, ça va? Merci, Sophie, for giving us the songs of your own style and maybe glimpsing to the Lebanese. Let no one left in the freeze. So please, and thank you, Amber, for the platform that you built, for the mass that you guided us to. And thank you, Randy, for making my street a party for the last 3 months. Oh, and thank you, Mike, for bridging us all together. It's the 21st century. Never before in history would that be possible. So that's new. And that's cool. And so let's hope that mankind is developing in the way that we want and wish for. But I think with people like us, it could be possible. Shubby-doo, 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 shooby-dooby-doo. Shooby-dooby-dooby-dooby-doo. Thank you. Good night. Good night. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.